All right, so it is 12:09 a.m. on what I guess is now Monday morning. I am 208 pages in to It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And you guys, the hype for this book is so real. The storyline, the everything, it just, oh my God, my heart. I don't know if I could take this. I'm loving it and I'm hating it all at the same time, which is, you know, this is a typical Colleen Hoover book. I knew it was going to get me. It has got me. All I can say at this point is that I hate Riley, and she better end up with Atlas, because I think I may have just found a new book boyfriend, because I love Atlas, and they have to get together. Like, somebody said that It Ends With Us does not end in a happily ever after, and I'm gonna cry if she does not somehow end up with Atlas. That's all I can say. This book, guys, is so good. So good. Okay. All right. That's it. That's my update for now. I don't want to give too much away. If you have not read this book, then you're living under a rock like I have been. I highly suggest that you do read it as soon as possible. It is so worth the read. It's going to tear my heart out. I just know it. I know it's going to tear my heart out, but I've got to finish reading this. So I'm going to get back to reading right now. Okay, so it is 2:55 a.m. and I just finished reading It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And I can say that this book, it was emotional, it was beautifully written. This is a story that I typically would have hated, because I will say that you end up reading, a lot of the story you do end up reading about a girl who falls in love with the wrong guy, and the whole book is about her dating the wrong guy. In essence, that's typically always a standard for me of books that I hate. I absolutely hate when a book does that. However, this is a case where this book was done so beautifully and done so well that I loved it. I loved every single second. It's a 5-star book. It is easily worth the hype. I didn't cry like I did in All Your Perfects, because that book was much more emotional to me in a personal level. I was able to relate to that book with the infertility and the, you know, not being able to have a child. I was able to emotionally connect with that more. However, with this book, the author's note is the part that had me crying. I will say that this book is absolutely worth the read. If you haven't read it yet, please do. It's one of the best books that I've read this year. I love it. I love all of Colleen Hoover's books. I can't read them too often, like together. This is not an author I could binge read, because her subject matter is always really hard to swallow all at once. It's so good, but it's so heartbreaking to read that I just can't read it back to back. So I'm slowly getting through her books. But yeah, it's probably going to be another month or two before I can read another one, because this one just, man, that got me. Okay, so anyway, that's my thoughts. 5 stars. So good. I don't want to give too much away on this book. So anyway, that's that. I'm going to go to bed now, and I will go ahead and try to upload this in the next day or two and start a new vlog. Have a great day. Hey everyone, I'm at a local quick fast food place called Del Rancho, picking up some dinner for my mom and me. I finished It Ends With Us last night, and I went ahead and talked about that already with y'all. But I went ahead really quickly today, and I picked up, it's called We Could Write This Shit, and it's hilariously bad sex scenes. Unfortunately, it wasn't that hilarious. It was kind of downright stupid. I gave it 2 stars. There's so many things that could have been done with this book that would have made it awesome, and it wasn't done very well. It was only like 40 pages, so it was a super quick read. But anyway, so I finished that, and then I am like 65 or 70% of the way through Well Met. by Jen DeLuca, and that is a really good read. I'm really enjoying it. Say it's about a 4-star read for me. And so I'm going to finish that tonight. Excited to go ahead. My next book I'm going to pick up is Beautiful Mistake by V. Keelan. And so I'm going to go ahead and start that this evening as well. And so yeah, I've read quite a bit today. I'm really proud of myself. I've got a lot done. So that is what is going on. It is 24 degrees here in Midwest City, and it feels like it's in the teens, and I am freezing my ass off. So I'm gonna go ahead and hurry up and get this food and go home and, like, I don't know, get under the covers and read a good book, because that's what today needs, is, you know, under the covers, because it is freezing. Alright, I will update y'all later. When it's been a couple of days since I've updated you, it is now Thursday, and I've read several books. So the first thing is I did go ahead and finish Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I really enjoyed the banter in this story. It was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. There was a few things that I wasn't just obsessed with, and that's the reason why I gave it the 4 stars instead of 5. But overall, it was a really cute story. Like I said, the banter in this was on point. The next book that I picked up was Beautiful Mistake by V. Keelan. I rated this one 4 stars as well. I really liked this. I thought this was just absolutely super cute. I thought it was a little too convenient and too... the way that it was written, there were some things that happened in the book, and it goes back and forth from like 15 years ago to now, and it all just kind of came together in this ridiculously way too convenient, never would happen in real life. That's the reason why I gave it a 4 stars. But overall, I really enjoyed this story. It made me laugh and swoon, and it was a really good, really well written story, and V. Keelan is becoming one of my very favorite authors. The next book that I picked up immediately after that was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. And I know so many people were obsessed with this story. I didn't like it that much. It was okay. It was just okay to me. I gave it 3 stars. The thing is that I actually felt bad for the main character. I didn't feel the connection between the hero and the heroine. And in fact, to me, whenever the hero didn't believe her at the end, like, that was just kind of my final breaking point. Like, after everything that he had kind of put her through, and I get that she was kind of a Debbie Downer, if you will, but I related to her, because I kind of feel like that a lot of the times. And I didn't like the hero in this at all. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was definitely not a favorite for me. And so far, every Christina Lauren book that I've picked up and read has been like 3 stars for me. Also, I felt like The Unhoneymooners and Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating were basically the exact same characters, just written in different settings. Like, Josh and Hazel, this book was them, but based in Hawaii. Like, the main girl had the same quirky, falling over stuff, acting nerdy, like, bad luck. It's the exact same character. Same thing with the main guy. The main guy in both books was kind of aloof and uncaring, and had this look about him that made him kind of, every time you talked about him, or every time he talked or did something, the main character always misinterpreted everything that he felt, because he was just kind of had like this sour look on his face, and it was like the exact same character. So I felt like I was reading the same book, just based in a different story. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of Christina Lauren, I've learned. So I don't know, hopefully I can read some of her older stuff, and maybe I'll like that better, because right now I'm not digging them. Okay, the next book I listened to was on audiobook, and that was Comfort Zone, I think is the name of it, by Missy Johnson. This book was very funny. All of Missy Johnson's books are just, they're hilarious. This one, unfortunately, I did also give 3 stars to, but for a different reason. I still really enjoyed the series. I enjoy the book. It was just a little too ridiculous. Their humor is so on point. I adore all of the Awkward Love series. If you haven't heard of Missy Johnson, or if you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend. The audiobooks are great. I got it from my local library. I am now actually reading the next book in the Missy Johnson Awkward Love series. It's book number 5, I believe it is. They're super quick listens on audiobook, and they are just, you definitely want to read it with like headphones in if you're going to listen to the audiobook. And I suggest not going to the grocery store while you do it, because I was trying so hard not to like ridiculously laugh out loud while shopping. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars because there was just some parts that it was just a little too over the top, and I couldn't put it with like a 4 or a 5-star read, but I did still enjoy it. So I finished that. I think I'm going to pick up 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, because I after reading all of these funny stories, or funny, the Honeymooners was not that funny to me at all. But after picking up a lot of these rom-com books, I think I'm ready to get down to a more serious book. And I've heard this one's going to make me cry. So I'm going to read that one and listen to the audiobook of Missy Johnson. So if it gets too serious with 1,000 Boy Kisses, hopefully I can go back to something funny, and that will help pick me up. I definitely made the mistake of listening to another audiobook while shopping. I'm gonna make a damn fool of myself. So my dumbass did something really stupid tonight, or I guess earlier this afternoon. I was grocery shopping and decided to listen to an audiobook. Well, it just so happened that the audiobook I was listening to was Missy Johnson's Don't Go There. And I remember just talking to y'all earlier about not listening to these types of audiobooks while shopping. Well, guess what? I didn't take my own advice. Here I am in the middle of grocery shopping, listening to this audiobook, chuckling and, laughing every once in a while. And then something happens. Okay, let me back up a minute. I will first tell you what this audiobook is about. So this is about Adam and Katie. They knew each other in high school, and whenever Katie was about 14 or 15 years old, she is like head over heels in love with Adam. And she is writing in her journal, and she ends up making a song about him, and she shows it to her best friend Darcy. And it's like this outrageous song about how she's wanting to basically lose her virginity to Adam. Well, fast forward, and Katie and Darcy and her cousin Lily are on a road trip to Vegas because Lily's first love is getting married, and she is wanting to talk to him before he gets married. So they're all in Vegas. Katie gets drunk one night. They start talking about Adam. Next thing she knows, she's up on the stage singing that song that she wrote for him when she was 15. Her cousin just so happens to film it and accidentally sends it out to her entire contact list. It just so happens that Adam gets a hold of that video. Alright, so I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but let's say Adam comes back into the picture, and while they are together, he is getting on her nerves because he kind of is bringing up that video over and over again and embarrassing her with it. And so as I'm listening to all of this part of it, I'm chuckling and laughing and, you know, haha, it's funny, you know, right? And then this happens. So, Katie decides to get back at Adam. And so she takes out a personal ad on Craigslist with his phone number on it and is saying something along the lines of that he wants a man to make his wildest dreams come true, that he prefers them to be really muscular and hairy, and to something about anal penetration and having a 10-inch dick. And so he starts getting phone call after phone call and text message after text message because she requests proof of that 10-inch dick. Yeah. That entire exchange was so funny. I was literally snorting and laughing, and people were looking at me like I was crazy. So yeah, that happened. I highly suggest listening to this audiobook if you're having a bad day. Telling you it will make you laugh. I highly suggest you don't listen to this audiobook while you're in public. People will probably be thinking that I was literally nuts, but it was hilarious. Okay, moving on. So, the next thing I want to talk about is a couple of books that I've started now. So I have started Tilly Cole's 1,000 Boy Kisses. I am like 45 pages into it, so not very far. And then I decided to try the Audible Escapes romance package for a month. Usually just listen to my local library has like a really great selection of audiobooks, so I normally don't have to worry about doing that, but I figured it's a 1-month free trial, so I can see if there's any kind of books that I can't get with my local library for free, and it's only like $6.95 afterwards, so that's a really good price. So I decided to go ahead and listen to LJ Shin's Vicious, but I also, while I'm listening to it, I think I'm going to read along with it on my Kindle Unlimited book. That way I can actually mark passages and stuff because it looks like it's going to be really interesting. I want to read the next Missy Johnson book, but I've got to wait like another week or two before I can get my hands on the 6th book. Like I said, anytime you're having a bad day, if you pick up either Max Monroe or Missy Johnson, those are the two that I recommend wholeheartedly. They are truly hilarious if you just want a really quick listen to. The Billionaire series by Max Monroe and the Awkward Love series by Missy Johnson. I highly recommend both of those. You cannot go wrong listening to an audiobook there. They will make you laugh no matter what. Hey everyone, today is Friday, November 15th, and so I finished listening to the audiobook. Actually, I started and finished listening to the audiobook of Kendall Ryan's Roommate, and I gave it 2 stars. The characters were not very well developed. They were very superficial. The best part about the book is that it was a love story where it was a girl and her best friend, and her best friend's younger brother is the guy that she ends up falling in love with. So, but it wasn't that good. Like I said, 2 stars. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't give a crap about the characters. I really disliked the sister of the boy and the girl's best friend. Anyway, yeah, I didn't like that story at all. Okay, moving on. So, have you ever just started a book and immediately knew that it was going to be like such a good book, like a 5-star, like within a couple of pages or chapters, like you just immediately knew that it was going to be a 5-star read? Because right now I am reading Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry, and oh my gosh, this book, I'm at like 35% of the way through now, but from like the 3rd page, I knew that this book was going to be different. Like, just from like literally the first chapter, I know that this is going to be a 5-star read. I love the story already. I love it. I love it. I cannot wait to finish reading this book. I'm hoping I can read it this evening and get it. I mean, I love this book. Now I want to go and immediately pick up everything Brittany C. Cherry has ever written, because this book is that good. So if you have not picked up Loving Mr. Daniels yet, pick it up. You will not regret it. Okay, so I started reading A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, but I'm actually waiting until the 18th for the Buzz Wordathon. So I decided to go ahead and hold off on that. And yeah, so we will, I will be reading that during the Buzz Wordathon. Okay, so I'm gonna look like a fucking hot mess for a minute, and I just want to say that it is Saturday evening, and I just finished Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry, and oh my god, this book, like, talk about ugly crying, holy crap, it is so good and so sad. And there is like trigger warnings for anything death related, suicide, death by cancer, all kinds of stuff. So there's like a million different trigger warnings in this book. Also, it's also an LGBTQ rep in it, so that was really neat. I truly love this book. It's obviously a 5-star. One of the best books that I've read this year. I absolutely adored this story. If you haven't picked up Loving Mr. Daniels, you need to pick it up. It is so good. Okay, so earlier today I also read Lauren Blakely's Lucky Suit. It's just like a quick little novella. I actually listened to it on Audible. It's only like 2.5 hour listen. Like, it's super quick. But if you want a really quick, short novella that is done correctly, read that book. It is so good. Lucky Suit. The characters were well developed. I enjoyed literally everything about that book. It was really good. So I gave that one 5 stars as well. So this was just a 5-star day for me. Oh my god, I cannot get over this book that I just read. Like, for real. I'm shook. That book was so good and so sad, and oh god. Okay, so I did something today. I may or may not have found out that the Bookworm box was having 50% off their entire store, which, if you don't know, the Bookworm box has the subscription box. And then they also just sell a whole bunch of autographed books that you can go in and pick whatever book you want. Normally, they're the full price at like $15. Well, they had half off everything. So I might or might not have spent like $220 on books today. Like, I don't have enough books in my house. I mean, really. But I fell in love with these books, and in fact, Loving Mr. Daniels was one of the books that I got, so I'm super excited that I have a signed copy of this book, because it is just, that's a book I'm going to want to read more than once. Anyway, so if you haven't already, go to the Bookworm box. I'll leave the link in the description down below. And it is coupon code I'm Thankful. It is going from now until December 2nd. And so I'll leave all the information in the description below if you want to check it out. Anyway, I am going to get off here and go to bed. Okay, so today is technically Monday, which means I'm going to have to start a new vlog. But before I do, I want to get into all the books that I read this week. So I've read I read more books this week than I've ever read in any week before. I finished a total of 11 books in 7 days. And so I just want to do a quick overview of what I've read, and then I'll go ahead and get into what I read last night. So I finished It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I gave this 5 stars. It was beautifully written, so good. The next book that I read was Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 star. I loved the banter between the main characters. It was super cute. The next book I read was We Could Write This Shit by B.A. Luden. I gave this a 2 stars. I thought this was going to be funny, and it just absolutely wasn't. So, not my favorite. The next book I read was Beautiful Mistake by Vi Keelan, or Vi Keelan. Anyway, I gave this a 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I'm beginning to love Vi Keelan's writing. I adore this author. The next book I read was Comfort Zone by Missy Johnson. And Missy Johnson is a hilarious author. I love all of her books. I did give this one a 3 star review. However, I still really, really enjoyed it. It was funny. It was a little way too over the top and outrageous, but it was still really funny, and I enjoyed the audiobook. The next book that I read was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Also gave this one a 3 star review. I did not enjoy this book. As you saw in this vlog, I really just did not enjoy this book at all. So there's that. The next book I read was Don't Go There by Missy Johnson, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I gave it 4.5 star review. It was so funny, so hilarious, like outrageously done, and I loved every second of it. The next book that I read was The Roommate by Kendall Ryan, and I gave this 2 stars. I did not enjoy it at all. The characters were not well developed. I didn't give a crap less about either of these characters. I didn't give a crap about the sister in this story. I didn't care. I didn't care. The next book that I read was Lucky Suit by Lauren Blakely. This is a novella, and I gave this one 5 stars. It was very good, very well developed for how short it was. I enjoyed the characters, enjoyed everything about this book. The next book I read was Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry, and as you all saw, this was my very top book that I read this week. I adored it, 5 stars, so good and heartbreaking and swoon-worthy. So good, so good. And then the last book I read, which I haven't talked about, is I read Vicious by L.J. Shin. I give this 4 stars. It was very good. I love a good damaged hero, and Vicious was definitely that. There was a few things that I wasn't crazy about in the book, so it wasn't my very favorite tortured hero, but I still really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that you read it. I listened to the audiobook and read the ebook at the same time. I'm actually really enjoying being able to do that because it makes my reading experience go by faster, but I also still get to put in my notes and highlight things that I want to highlight and all that. So I really enjoyed being able to listen and read at the same time. I would recommend doing that for, especially for the L.J. Shen and like the Missy Johnson. Her books are hilarious on audiobook. I highly recommend. So anyway, that is what I've read this week. I am now going to go ahead and start a new vlog because it is the Buzzwordathon, and I have already started in on my reading today. So I will see you in the next vlog.